What's up everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my PWC interview experience. So I applied for basically just a graduate role here in New Zealand, and I wasn't actually successful. Well, I mean, they haven't gotten back to me, but it's been like over a month since I did my interview, so I'm gonna assume that I didn't get the job. And I kind of debated making this video because I thought, I didn't get in, like, am I really qualified? Like, should I be giving advice? But then I figured, I feel like this video is still gonna be interesting because obviously getting to the interview stage is kind of still an achievement in itself. And yeah, I think it'll be interesting to hear like my experience and what kind of things they asked me, so hopefully you guys can, have an idea of what to expect and hopefully be better prepared. So basically I applied online, as you do. And to be honest, I didn't really spend a lot of time on this. Like, at the time, I was basically just like sending out a bunch of applications, so I didn't think too much of it. I remember it was pretty basic. I think there was one question about like something that you would improve about yourself or something that like you weren't, super like good at. And I think I said something about like confidence and like trying to be more confident or something like that. But yeah, anyways, I sent out my application, really didn't think too much of it. To be honest, I didn't really care at this point, it was just another job. But yeah, so basically I think on that same day, I got asked to do some online assessments. So I did those, and then a couple weeks later, I got a call from someone at PWC, and I remember I didn't pick up the call initially, so it was like a voice message. And basically it was a recruiter from PWC, being like, hey, call me back. So at that point I kind of knew that I probably got through to the next stage, because I feel like if I was going to be rejected, like, they wouldn't call you, they would just send an email saying, you weren't successful. So at that point I kind of knew that I had an interview, so called her back, and then basically we booked an interview for like a couple days later. And I think one of the things that I definitely didn't do was prepare enough. I only gave myself like, I think 2 or 3 days. At that point, I think I just wanted to get the interview out of the way, but I would say try and schedule it for as late as you can, just so you have enough time to really prepare and research so you're ready for the interview. So yeah, the interview was on Google Hangouts, which was kind of strange. I feel like everyone was using Zoom, so yeah, anyways, it was on Google Hangouts and it was about 40 minutes long. So it started pretty basic. They kind of just got you to introduce yourself, why do you want to work for PWC? So I kind of went into saying like, oh, like, it's a really good company. To be honest, I don't think I gave that great of an answer. I was like, I really align with the values. But I actually didn't specify any specific values. And then they did ask me like, what, specific values do you admire or do you resonate with? And I think I talked about innovation because I was working kind of in the technology space. But it wasn't super convincing, I don't think, which probably is something that I could have done better. And then most of the interview was just a lot of basic behavioral questions. Like, it was obviously, just with a recruiter, so it wasn't very technical at all. So just a lot of kind of questions around teamwork, how did you deal with conflict? Also with my CV, I had done an internship prior to that, so they basically wanted me to talk through my internship, my responsibilities and skills I had, I guess. Another question I think they asked me about my favorite courses during university and why I enjoyed those courses. So I talked about, I think, Spanish and just like learning different languages. I thought it was pretty interesting, and it was something, it was like just true something I genuinely enjoyed. So I did watch a video about a guy also talking about his Big Four interview, and he was saying how like it's good to not give your complete answer straight away, if that makes sense. So for example, if they ask you a question and you give 2 minutes of your answer and then they ask a follow-up question, you don't have anything to follow up with. But if you say you speak for 1 minute and then they ask you to follow up, then you have another minute, and it's like, it makes sense. So a lot of my answers weren't really full answers, which in hindsight maybe wasn't the best thing, but they did ask a lot of follow-up questions. So every time I basically answer a question, they would do another follow-up question. So I think in a way it was good because I could always answer their follow-up question. Another thing they asked me was about technology and like kind of new technologies that I used. So I was talking about Notion and, you know, why I'm obsessed and why it's so good. And I think the recruiter just had like no idea what it was, so that didn't really work out. And also one thing that we spent a lot of time talking about was actually my exchange to Italy. So I kind of brought it up like just randomly and they were really surprised, and I think they were also really interested in it because the recruiter herself had done an exchange, so that was really cool and it was something that we could kind of like bond over. But overall I felt like the interview, it went okay. Like it wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible either. Like definitely not the worst interview I've had, but not the best. So when it ended, I kind of didn't really know what to expect. Like I wasn't really sure how I did because like they were pretty nice to me, but I also think that I wasn't super engaged and I could have definitely answered the questions better. So yeah, basically afterwards I asked when I could expect to hear back, and they were like, oh, probably at the end of next week, so like 2 weeks time. And then after about a month I still hadn't heard anything, so I emailed her and then she was like, oh, I'll get back to you at the end of next week. And then 2 weeks had passed and I still haven't heard back. So I think it's been about, so I had my interview on the 16th of March. Currently today it is the 2nd of May and I still haven't heard back. So I'm just gonna assume that I didn't get it, because I think had I been successful I definitely would have heard back by now. And like I know people have also already talked about, you know, getting in offers and stuff. So yeah, I didn't get the job, but I'm not too sad, to be honest. Like I definitely didn't really try that hard. I think it kind of showed that I wasn't super interested in the company, and I think that's one of my downfalls. So I guess just to sum up, like some things that I think I could have done better. Firstly was know what I guess service line I wanted to go down. So PWC have various like service lines or teams that they work on. So I remember getting asked like, do you want to be in consulting or do you want to be in an assurance or something like that? And I was kind of like, oh, I don't really mind, you know, I'm pretty open to it. And I think that kind of showed that I didn't really care about either of them. Like I was just like, I'll take whatever job. So I think it's good to really kind of nail down on one or maybe two service lines and have really good reasons and of why you want to work for it and why you're a good fit. So it really shows that you've done your research. Also really, when they ask you why you want to work there, really like know the values and really kind of sell yourself and sell why those values resonate with you. Because I was like, oh yeah, I vibe with innovation, you know, tech is all about being innovative. But like I didn't really sell it, and I don't think I sounded that convincing. So yeah, I guess my advice would be definitely do your research, know the values and know exactly what service line you want to work for and why you're a good fit. And yeah, just seem engaged. So yeah, that's a bit of my advice. I'm not going to share my CV or cover letter or that kind of thing in this video, but if you guys want, I can make a specific video talking about that, because personally I think it's pretty good. I mean, I've managed to get a bunch of interviews, so even though I haven't gotten an offer yet, I think in terms of getting to that interview stage, I do have some advice and tips on like how to make good CVs and applications and stuff. So yeah, that's it for today's video. I hope you guys found it a bit interesting or informative, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Ciao!